It doesn't have to. Ready?
Yep. In order.
Schmidt. Paul.
Here.
Bill.
Present.
Curtis.
Here.
Hanson.
Yes. Okay. Public comments, anybody? No public comments? Randy?
I started having some conversations about the policy renewal coming up. Mostly they just want to know about changes and things like that, so that's pretty standard. Did have a conversation based on a conversation I had with Nita, with the insurance company about this concept of having people from the jail or parolees or whatever handle the snow, and as you might expect, they had some concerns. But
About the snow or the?
yeah, not about the snow. But it turns out maybe it's a non-issue. If Judge Westfeld thinks that there's no liability, then we don't have a problem. If that turns out not to be the case, then we probably have to look at that again.
Judge Lestfeld yesterday, first, the management committee asked me to talk to Randy and find out if we'd be covered if one of these, somebody doing community service or a trustee was injured. And the insurance company said, no, they wouldn't cover us, that was taking on an undesirable risk. So that's what I responded to the committee. And then Larry Pankey went and actually talked to Judge Lestfeld, and there's a state statute that says that an entity isn't liable, a public entity, city, town, county, that using these, these people to do community service, there's no liability to the government entity. So they showed that yesterday. They talked about it a little bit in judicial, and kind of that's where it's at right now. I think it's going to come up again in management, but it's looking like, there wouldn't be a liability to the county if somebody was hurt shoveling the snow or spreading salt. They're not going to actually, unless, of course, the law, of gross negligence, or, if we did something really foolish. So that's kind of where it stands right now.
That's not to say we couldn't have some more conversation and somehow, define this a little tighter. The more information we give the insurance company, the more comfortable they'll probably be. And/or we could look at a second policy or something that just covers this if the main company excludes it. We have options, but it sounds like we don't have to really look into any of that at this point unless something changes.
Sheriff, what's your opinion on it? You're the one.
Well, actually, there's two different issues here. One is trustees, which are inmates at the jail, which are under our care, doing things. So I have trustees that do the laundry, mop floors, shovel snow in the winter time, take garbage out, stuff like that. Now, those individuals, if they get hurt carrying garbage out or something, they're in our custody. We're going to have to give them some type of medical attention. The people that are sentenced to community service hours fall under probation's guardianship, I guess I'll use that word, as far as how many hours they have to do, when they have to do it by, and probation is the one that follows up to make sure that they're doing what the court has ordered as far as community service hours. So, not speaking for Tom, my guess would be since people doing community service aren't technically in the custody of the county.
Correct.
There's probably why there's no liability there. But if it's a trustee, if it's an inmate who we have custody of, and that inmate runs a shovel through his foot as he's shoveling snow, then we're going to have to pay, we're going to have to get that person medical attention, obviously.
I would think in cold weather, the things that would be an issue would be a heart attack or slip on ice and hit their head or something.
Good. So far, we haven't had anything like, we've had, the last few years especially, I've had trustees go out and help clear the steps and sidewalks and stuff at the courthouse and at the jail. But, so it's kind of two different things. All, if Tom had anything about the community service hours, those are actually probation people.
That's a thought.
The only thing I'll add is I pointed out in judicial yesterday that we just don't have numbers. There's not a lot of adults being given public service work hours. Even transfer cases in don't have them. It's in KT we got away from it too. It's just a lot of time goes into monitoring those individuals at different sites, nonprofit sites throughout the county. We had a big problem in KT with people paying off somebody to have hours written down and certified for. So you have to watch all that stuff. You're following up all the time on that. New people change it to those nonprofit organizations and stuff like that. So we just don't have a lot of. And juveniles get more hours, but I think we're staying away from juveniles when talking about this. There's few more restrictions on what juveniles can do. With adults, I think that's the issue. Is I don't know. We're getting that number right now. Mark's getting to tell me how many we actually have, how many hours we have. And then the other issue is getting those individuals to the work site without a 2-week prep period and build-up for them. And promises of McDonald's or whatever it is to get those people to the work site. So I think in a situation like this, where it could be a day's notice, I don't know, maybe we kind of talked about that as previously about the liability, but that's just
Might not be a good thing to even.
well, you can get the numbers and bring it to the committee if people listen.
Okay. Thank you.
That's all I have.
That's it? Well, thanks, Randy. Susie?
Well, we're getting ready for the benefits fair next month. I've had goodies already delivered to the office, so my office is filling up with stuff, and we're going to, Aflac's been helping me out a lot. We're going to put some great baskets together to raffle off for the employees as well. And other than that, it's been quiet on the other end, so that's all I have.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Have a great day.
Okay. Fiscal year 16 budget. We've got some things that we've got to work on yet, so I don't think we should take an action. You know, we don't want to pass what we got until we get some things that have came up dealt with. We'll have to have a special meeting to have the public know what's changed, if not.
When do you propose the meeting?
Well, I would hope within a couple of weeks. Couple, 3 weeks.
If you're going to vote on it at the November meeting, I guess that is November 12th, I think is the, so we're going to have to get it posted by 26th, 27th,
How many days?
27th, 15 days.
15.
So I'm going to need to know
So 10.
what, right, the 10th. So back up 2 weeks. It's got to be up by the 26th.
26, yeah.
So-
26.
We're the 8th now.
We're the 8th, and I'm going to have time to, I'm not sure what changes you're going to do, but
I don't know, we got several things to look at. We don't want to do it.
okay.
We don't want to end up like the state, do we?
Okay.
So we can, it's going to be a 15, 20-minute meeting, so it's not that big a deal.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not going to be a long,
Okay.
we just want to make sure some things are right. We don't want to do it wrong.
And I suggest having it fairly soon in case you find something that's bungled and you need to do it again.
And well, we're trying to make sure we ain't got no bump ups before
Well,
we
I
do
know,
it, because
but
they don't always.
something happened.
So. All right. Anybody got anything else on that? Okay, let's move to the fiscal year 15 projected budget line overruns.
They pretty much remain the same. This is the spreadsheet that I distributed last month.
Don't get crabby, buddy.
which shows, I'm going to have to share with you, Charlie,
All right, Steve.
where our
I don't want to
issues
share with you.
are this year. Autopsies is going to run short. We're going to be about $8,000 short. No, this is it. It's just a short. And obviously the ones we knew, criminal prosecution, court services, special attorney hires, those are all overruns right now, and you can see where they're at in the dollars remaining and what I'm estimating their average monthly and then projecting out what we would need. On the flip side, maintenance and repairs in the administration building is way under. Heating costs are way under. So those are at the bottom. So if we just make the adjustments per the lines, we've got plenty of room. You can see without having to dip into our contingencies. I need to use the contingency money to distribute to each of the departments for the Ask Me back pay. That's what that was targeted to. So what I would request we do is reduce the telephone, heating, and maintenance and repair lines and redistribute those to courts, state's attorney, and coroner departments as indicated on the spreadsheet that you have in front of you.
I'd take a lot out of heating because it's not going to get too cold before you send it around.
Right, there's plenty of room in there. It's interesting. That heating line, we had $55,000 last year. We budgeted $47,000, and we're only at like half that, 25 or 26. So
And then we got the new one.
we have the new one online. I mean, we've really only got 45 more days of heating bills. So
That'll be something we can move.
It's usually Indian summer coming yet. It's not usually the worst weather time of the year.
Well, do we, at this point, want to make this move, or since we got 30 days, should we, just in case there's any other last-minute windfalls or surprises?
We can always do another one 30 days from now, the next meeting, if we have that. I think we ought to
Right,
take them as we
yeah.
go.
Maybe just to get her going now and...
Caught up.
What works best for you?
either. It really isn't going to matter. I mean, overall, when we go through the audit, they look at the fund overall, not by department. So overall, the general fund is fine. We're well within our budget. We're okay. It's not a huge issue. It's historically, we've always moved it by department for each department head to move to make sure they had room in theirs, and then you get to the point where you have each committee is approving bills that aren't budgeted. That's the problem.
So it's best to kind of move it now, then that way they're not doing that.
Right. You don't want to put them in a position where they're approving something then.
That they don't have the money in their line.
Right. That's right.
So they can be arrested, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, the total dollar amount that we're thinking here then is the $12,000.
No.
No, we're short 12,
Or we're still
It's
short
just,
12.
no, you're fine.
That's 12 is actually over that we have at the moment, right?
Right, I think, I would recommend just making the changes within the budget line. You're right, we're short 12.
I'd pull like 10 out of each of those and cover these, or 20, whatever. out of each of
20.
those, and
I would
cover
rather
all.
take 20 out of telephone and heating
Each
and
one.
redistribute,
That's what I would do.
yes, redistribute those to cover the shortfalls,
Okay.
That would look nice then.
and 15 out of maintenance and repairs, and take it and move it and cover as many as, some of
gotta cover
them,
them
like,
all, really.
if you look at service contracts and animal controls, that's only $2,000.
Yeah.
That's if it paces the same way it's been pacing all year. It could be okay. That one I'm not so worried about. Same with water. So I would ask that, we take 20 from telephone and heating and 15 from maintenance and repair and redistribute those to cover shortfalls in state's attorney, courts, and coroner
I so
as
moved.
able.
So that was 10 grand, and 1,500?
No, 20, and
15,000.
Yeah, 20,000, 20,000, and 15,000. And redistribute them to cover anticipated shortfalls.
So 45,000,
Yeah.
55.
55.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got that?
Mhm.
Got a second to this?
I'll second that. Charlie?
Oh.
You want to call the roll?
Schmidt?
Yeah.
Paul?
Here.
Bill?
Yes.
Curtis?
Yeah.
Hanson?
Yeah.
The second thing that's an issue, I just talked to Jim, and it's going to be a problem, is that I did talk to the state of Illinois today, or earlier this week. In the DCEO Department of Economic, we've got that grant for the boiler in this building, and that's a reimbursement grant. And you can see on Mindy's cash report here, our balance in the grant fund is a negative $44,000. We had a special board meeting to meet before June 30th and send the report to the state saying, and my contact at DCEO said, if you get it in here by the 15th, it'll get paid out of last year's budget, everything will be good. No. He sent the voucher right away to the comptroller's office. He said it's been sitting there. She says she's not paying it for a budget until they have a budget. He said, I told her it's last year's, but they're not moving on that. They're just not moving. They're holding up payment. We don't know when we're going to get it. No one has a guess. So we could end the year with negative cash in the grants fund. I just talked to Jim. We can't do a loan because it would cross fiscal years. The auditors won't let us close the books. They won't sign off on the audit when one cash fund is overdrawn. They will give me an audit adjustment to move money from the general fund to the grants fund.
Yeah, but that could cause a hole next year.
Well, it's not going to cause a hole next year because if you move the cash from the general fund to the grants fund, that's a loan, right, Jim? That's a loan.
Yeah.
So I don't care what you call it, or if you don't have a piece of paper, it's still a loan. So I guess I'm just making you aware. If we can't do a loan, I won't do the entry. They'll call us on it. And then I don't know what we do. I can try fighting back. But it is what it is.
If it should have been last year.
Right. The issue is,
Yeah.
it's outside of our control. You can't do a receivable. The issue isn't the receivable. We know there's a receivable there. The issue is cash.
Right.
And but it will be an issue.
Well,
Unless magically we get a check between now and November 30th.
What you're saying is probably impossible.
Nobody can make a guess.
yeah.
I got an IEMA check this week. I don't know where that came from or why we got one. That's grant fund.
I think
So
it's back to
some
the
stuff
federal
is
money.
coming through and sometimes, but it just might be an issue. I just want you to know that.
The federal money is still going to come through the state because it's federal money, and they've already made that point down there. But unfortunately, this is like if you're an Illinois lottery winner, this is going to stay on the burners for a while. And so it's going to happen. It's just time, and I'd say at the last moment, at the end of the year, if we need to, yeah, we'll have to basically borrow from our cash.
It might be a long time.
Well, borrow from the cash. When I say borrow, that's a loan. sign here.
So I just wanted to make you aware that that's going to be, it is, the way it's looking now, it's going to be an issue. So,
It is what it is.
So, so there's no action to be done with that?
no.
All right, we're up to department heads.
Kevin?
Yep.
Could I step back 1 second here now? We go back here to these little budget overruns we got where we're taking some money and moving around. Our 016 budget now, is that, have you looked at those numbers? Is that, those type of expenses still dancing with our 016 budget?
Well, for next year, we did increase autopsies based on the run rate. Special attorney hire went up, court services. We did look at the run rate, and we reduced, management is one of the departments where we reduced a lot of it based on run rate. Hopefully it will hold for next year, but...
So there's been some adjustment according to this? Okay.
Right. When we do the budgets, we look at, you know, a 3-year actual trend and the current year forecast. So all of that goes into account.
Thank you.
How much did farmland coming in 315 instead of 325? How much of that was? How'd that work out?
We covered the amount we're transferring from the farm fund to the general fund. We had budgeted $100,000, and the actual rent is going to be, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but I think it's about $135,000 instead of the current year is,
350.
the last 3 years we've gotten $157,000. So it reduces the amount of cash reserve in that farm fund, but we did have enough, it was high enough.
There's enough room there?
There's enough that we could transfer the $100,000 to the general fund.
Okay, so that's not a...
That's not
Okay, cool.
more of a problem.
But these little things keep adding up. That's one thing I want to look at. Maybe I'm being paranoid. You get what you wanted, Russell?
Yes, yeah, that clarifies.
Department heads.
Make me sleep better.
Mindy?
We did our second of 3 distributions on September 25th, so there was a little boost in the general fund. And everybody's got a copy of the state payments, how that's coming. Actually, so far, in income is up just a little bit from last year, and so is replacement, and everything else is trending pretty decent, so.
There's a typo in that, isn't there? Those top line amounts received 65,000, same as the total of the tax not yet, 65 instead of 62.
Oh, yeah, it should be 62 down here for not received
Right.
yet, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Good eyes, Charlie.
That's all I have covered.
Glad I came, man. You've been bankrupt by living a day, you know that.
All right, Jim?
Kevin, in the state attorney's budget, what I'd recommend, since for the ASAs, you went from 119 down to 117, which is shorting them. Their actually combined salaries should be 120. So what I'd recommend is taking 2,000 out of education and dues expense and 1,000 out of criminal prosecution and put into the assistant department head, which is the ASA line item, so that balances out what their salaries are going to reflect. And I'll just have to make it with less in education and criminal prosecution.
Okay.
And that way, you know, I'm just moving money around, but it's still the same amount.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we do. Okay? All right.
Did you want me to put those in when I start working on revisions? Want me to move those? Okay,
I
okay.
would think you should might as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna reduce their salaries. I mean, they're gonna be paid what they're currently being paid, so I just need to move it around so that it all balances out.
Okay. Got that?
Would that need to be a motion, or?
No,
Well, you're not increasing or decreasing the budget.
no,
You're
it's
just-
his
I
right to
think
do
this is
that.
big.
Okay,
do that.
just to move, okay, move the line items around.
If we had that motion, we'd be in our office every day making a motion.
Okay, that works.
What's
Tom?
your salaries total for that line then, Jim?
120?
Even?
Yes.
Nothing, Tom?
No.
Okay. Snyder?
Just, obviously, as you guys know, we're not getting our wireless check, and it's about $15,000 less a month. That started in September. And then there's a House Bill 4305 that it's been presented, I guess is the way to put it, and that's for lottery, motor fuel tax, and also 911, because those are all in and out funds, I guess is the way to put it. They're not state supported, they just in and out. So that's House Bill 4305. I have talked to our state rep because of the way that things are done. It's only being supported by Democrats. So I don't know how far House Bill 4305 is going to go. But it's just simply trying to get our wireless money. Our scare is that with the new legislation that's supposed to start January 1st, both wireline and wireless has to be fed through the state of Illinois. Right now, the wireline money comes directly to us from the telephone companies. But with the new legislation, both of them will be fed through the state of Illinois. So if this budget isn't solved by January 1st, we would have no income coming in January, starting in January, until the budget's resolved. So right now, we're 15,000 less. They're asking 911 centers throughout the state to see how many will shut down in 30, 60, 90 days without their wireless money, and there's 2 of them at this time. I know Bureau County is one, and I think it's White County will be the other one. That will not be able to function 30, 60, 90 days into this year without their wireless money. So there's letters being written, contacts being made.
Yeah, I see a lot of departments getting that. Mental health and somebody in some county was laying a bunch off.
So
They're 9 a bunch in the hole. And that's the same. A lot of departments are gonna run out of money. The ones that had a little surplus are running out in January.
right. And even when we do get our money, the rumor is that there's going to be 2 months worth of your wireless is going to be, state's going to keep, it's going to be in the sweep, so there's a chance we're going to lose 30,000 out of this. So, we don't know. Really, like your money.
Just keeps getting better. Okay, Derek?
I don't have anything.
Bob?
Just an update on the tax cycle, pretty much on track. We're printing notices today, and we'll probably publish within, I don't know, it won't be next week. We gotta give the papers lead time to get their, put it on, for publishing. So it'll probably be the week of the 19th we'll publish. And you will be in for 30 days, and we're going forward.
Thank you. You're up.
Public health is financially fallen at this time. A lot of public health departments across the state are reducing services. Many health departments have gone to 4 days a week. They're laying off staff, they're furloughing days. We're not in that position at this time. We still have contract money coming in, fee-for-service money coming in. We have several grants that are actually federally funded, so even though that money is appropriated to the state, they are paying it. For example, we're getting the WIC payment that we paid to IMH. We're not getting family case management or the HFI program payments that we give to IMH at this time. We're waiting on a fine budget for that. Department of Aging is paying, so our senior service programs are paying. So we do have money coming in. We have approximately enough reserve to get us through at least the next 5 months. And that's without any further money coming in, but like I said, we have money coming in. So we're financially better than a lot of health departments across the state. At this time, I'm not looking at any other measures until we go a few months down the road. And within the next few months, if there's no state budget signed, then I'm going to be looking at
decreasing expenses, mileage, training, those things. Just to let you know what's going on with us.
Okay. Thank you. All right, where we at? On loans. Is there any discussion on that?
There has been, Jim sustained another flood, where his manufacturing base was this summer. So we are close to a proposed agreement that delays payments a little bit because he had to be shut down because of the flood. And I can't argue with that. So we're close, and I'll talk with Kyle about getting final numbers on that to get that wrapped up hopefully this month.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions on that? No? Claims. Anybody want to move to- Maybe a note for me.
Yeah, I was looking at the Small Business Administration, since there was now a flood disaster area, maybe that could help that situation
All
of the
right.
bunk loan. But he would have to approach it himself.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can suggest it to
Everything.
Okay. Any old business?
Are we,
Claims.
Oh, claims.
other than the money's coming back for our improvement projects and everything in order and done for the year, or on target and everything?
All out management,
Yeah,
the roofing and...
yeah, everything's going.
Larry's here. Larry, he's asking if all the projects for management are all finished, all the capital improvements.
I think the capital improvements might be.
Might be.
And you can see how those came out if you look in your
Okay.
report here. That is Fund, I think 150 or 155. 145. Fund 145. And you can see where all those projects ended up versus their budget. Really, everything was below budget. The roof for this building came in at $236 instead of $250 was budgeted. The sheriff's roof came in at $67. We originally budgeted at $90 and reduced that to $70 to cover the rest of the admin boiler. Sheriff spent about $15,000 to do half his water lines repair in the jail. The generator was budgeted at $32,000 for the jail. It came in at $29,750. So everything came in below.
I think that's commendable, because I think this is the most repairs we've probably had at any one time for as long as I can remember being here.
Yeah.
And to do it all within the budget's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're trying to do the best we can. Everybody's really been working good. The only bad thing is that boiler, you got that 44,000 hanging out there. At least that isn't our mistake. Okay. The claims yet? Anybody make a motion to pay these suckers, or we just... Brett, make a motion. Shirley, second.
Schmidt?
Yeah.
Hall?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Curtis?
Yes.
Hanson?
Any old business? Any new business? Anybody want to I do.
Why you can't work?
Oh, I got a lot of stuff to do.
Are you entertaining a motion? Motion to adjourn.
Second.